Professor Laurie Raymundo. I am currently the interim director of the Marine Lab and a faculty member. I've joined the faculty in 2004 and I'm a coral ecologist. This is actually the thesis project for my student Claire Moreland Ochoa, who's done the vast majority of the work. My lab is currently working a lot with reef restoration as a consequence of the amount of mortality our reefs suffered between 2013 and 2017. We recognize that we need to be much more proactive in bringing our island toward a more resilient state, moving forward with climate change. And the majority of our work is with a certain group of corals called staghorn acropora, but we recognize the need to start working with different species, and this is one that we are interested in. Blue coral is not actually the same taxon as the other corals. It's a non-coral coral, so to speak. It's more closely related to soft corals, but it forms a hard skeleton, and it can form very large colonies that are quite complex that provide really good fish habitat. But we know very little about this coral. And so this thesis is meant to examine the potential for starting to use this coral in our restoration work. So this particular study looks at the two different morphologies of this coral that we have in Guam. And Claire is transplanting small fragments between two sites where they naturally occur. But the two sites are very, very different. One is very clean, very clear water, very well flushed, hard substrate. And the other one is at a very degraded area. It's very silty, it's mostly sand. And we think that the water is also very eutrophic, has a lot of nutrients in it. And so we're trying to see if both of these growth forms actually do just as well in both of these contrasting environments, or if they tend to do okay in one and not the other, or if there are differences between these two growth forms. So this will allow us to assess future restoration potential, but also it's asking a question of how can we help to restore coral to an area that is very degraded. We know they grow very well in really nice areas, but some of the places that we feel the need to restore are actually not so good places. So if there are species that we can introduce into these more degraded places, that would be very helpful for us moving forward. I think Sea Grant is a great organization. It seems to have a great group of people, and it's a very well-run group. And even though right now we're focusing on this current project, Sea Grant has been really amazing for our grad students through providing these small grant opportunities with a very rapid turnaround, which are really designed for students. And I can't stress enough how valuable that is. We have a master's program, and most granting funding agencies don't allow that quick turnover time, and most of them are for a lot more money. But these are small grants that a student can use to augment whatever other funding they have from other sources, but it will allow them to do more with their thesis than they normally would. And it will also allow them to do things like attend conferences and possibly even pay a salary for them for a short period of time and allow them to finish. And right now, this is pretty much the only opportunity that our students have locally for this kind of funding. And if you go to any other organization, they just don't have, I mean, it's a year turnaround. So you have to wait for a year to find out if you've got the money. And our students can't wait that long. They're in a master's program. It's 2.5 years to 3 years tops. So it gives them really good granting opportunities, and the opportunity to write a proposal and to get money and to manage the money themselves. All of these things are essential for their development as biologists in a competitive career. So I'm really happy with Sea Grant for providing that opportunity, and for this one too. So this is a new program that they started to run. It's a really invaluable resource for the university.